Hey people, Waifu Selector here again, the only fair human on Earth, and it's time to talk about Death Stranding 2 on the beach. And to be clear, I'm not gonna talk about Death Stranding 2 while on the beach. The game's subtitle is on the beach. Yeah, if I recorded this on the beach, it would never get done. Non-stop seagull chirping in the background while I get hit in the head by the football two guys brought to the beach to throw around for some reason. But whatever. Anyway, Death Stranding 2, it's out, it's new, and now that I've played it, I can give you folks an idea of what's good about it, what's bad about it, and what are just the indifferent facts about it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And we can begin kinda simply here, because Death Stranding 2 is still very much in line with the first game. A lot of it is what you have experienced already gameplay-wise, but more refined and with some more additions. But I realize not everyone played the first game, so what's going on here? Well, even if you didn't play the first game, you probably heard the jokes about Death Stranding being a walking simulator. And at times that's funny, but it's always been selling the game short. It's kinda more accurate to say you're a post-apocalyptic mailman of sorts. Except you're kinda the mailman, the Amazon delivery man, and the Spectrum internet guy all at once. So as you'd imagine, a lot of the game is walking or driving or simply sending things from point A to point B. But as they say, it's not the destination, it's the journey. This game excels in exercising player patience and problem solving. You have a lot of options of how to get the job done, but it's up to you to ultimately decide. Other than just the terrain itself, there are also brigands and BTs. Brigands are exactly what you think, post-apocalyptic bandit camps of hostile assholes. In some cases, you can choose to avoid them entirely, but if you leave them to their business, their threat level can go up and make them tougher during future deliveries where you pass through that area. More on them in a little bit though. BTs, if you don't know or remember, are the ghosts that haunt certain areas or appear when the timefall rains down. And they can cause a whole event-sized problem if you let them grab you. So, let's say you're carrying some decently heavy cargo, but your delivery path goes through a BT area. You should bring along weapons just in case you need to take out the BTs, right? But the weight of the weapons might put you at an overall capacity that's hard to manage. So maybe you should leave the weapons behind and just trust that you can sneak past the BTs. I'm just painting a kind of basic scenario to give you a sense of the decisions and problem solving of the game. You can also build structures to help you along your journey, things like bridges, safe houses, watchtowers, batteries to charge your vehicles, all kinds of stuff. And the social or strand aspect from the first game is back and better than ever. So if you don't know, the social stuff in Death Stranding works a lot like Dark Souls, but greatly expanded. Not the part of Dark Souls where you summon people in, but the putting down helpful little signs and seeing the wisps of people on their journey or being killed. It's that on steroids, because structures that you are building obviously need materials, and you can do it all yourself, or you can just add what you have and leave it, because other players will see it in their world and be able to add materials of their own. And these structures can be used by other players, even those who had nothing to do with the construction. So when you build things, you aren't just helping yourself. Everyone is making everyone else's path a little bit easier. And you can get that sense of accomplishment for it through the like system, where if you found something that someone built or placed to be helpful, you can give it some likes that they'll receive on their end. You can also share tools, share vehicles, share weapons, request all that stuff yourself, or even entrust your cargo to someone else. If a delivery is too out of the way from your main objective, but you don't just want to abandon the cargo, you can entrust it to the community and hope someone else delivers it for you. It's really cool. But yeah, let's talk more about some of the differences and additions, because this is not some weird or radical upending of the foundations laid by the first game. It is building directly on top top of it. It is a refinement in proper progress. One of the biggest additions are the weather events. Now things like rock slides, mudslides, earthquakes, sandstorms, and floods can all happen and spontaneously change what you thought to expect on your delivery route, in addition to the timefall happening. Again, it makes for cool decision making and problem solving. I remember delivering something where I'd have to go through a canyon, and it was seemingly easiest and simplest to just walk within the bottom of the canyon where everything was relatively flat and there was plenty of room. But I thought if there was an earthquake, then suddenly being down there where everything could fall on me wouldn't be cool. So I opted for a thinner, bumpier, but more elevated path that at the beginning seemed tougher, but then halfway through the delivery, earthquake. And then I'd never been happier with the decision I made. It's just cool stuff like that. There's also a steady day and night cycle, so the time of day is always flowing as you think it would, which can help with immersion, I guess. However, I think the biggest change this game presents that distinguishes it from the original is its change in pace. Much like the Metal Gear series, Death Stranding is cinematic, but it's not just a movie game like The Last of Us or something. Death Stranding actually likes that it's a game and takes advantage of being a game. It just also wants to be cinematic like a movie as well. Whereas I feel like something like The Last of Us, Uncharted, or Hellblade are only games because no one would let them be a movie at the time. And those games kind of feel like they don't want to be games, and the game part gets ignored. Not the case with Death Stranding or Death Stranding 2, but the first game went for long stretches on both ends. It was like, here, watch 2 hours of a cutscene. Now play the game for 3 hours. Okay, another 2.5 hours of cutscenes. Have 4 more hours of gameplay. And it was kind of like during the story, you'd forget there was gameplay, and during the gameplay, you'd forget there was a story. Because both were just so long and drawn out with no hints of each other. Death Stranding 2 has made it all more cohesive in a way that makes everything feel a little sped up as well. For the most part, you're getting more regular cutscene lengths. The game is getting you playing much faster than the first game was. The story will often answer your questions faster, and even if it doesn't, it'll still get to the point faster. You're still getting the cutscenes and all the cinematic stuff, but now it's broken up in a way that isn't an actual movie worth of watching every single time. Death Stranding 2 has also leaned into action a bit more for those who needed it. The brigand camps that you will interact with are pretty much tailor-made just for you to get into some action. You can still feel that the game is not particularly built around this sort of action, but it's just to add a nice flash of adrenaline to what is otherwise a pretty tranquil game. And I say the camps are geared toward action because when you have to actually go inside a camp for a mission, you technically can sneak around all the guys and get what you need, but the sneaking is so much more difficult than just taking them out. And the brigand AI are the most eagle-eyed SOBs this side of Australia. It's insane. They will see you from anywhere, so you might as well just fight them. It feels like that's what the game wants you to do anyway. But yeah, these pockets of action more frequently sprinkled in, along with a less long-winded pace overall for the story structure, is helpful in making this game more digestible than its predecessor. But it's still not gonna be a game that clicks with everybody because it's still Death Stranding. It's still a unique and weird future delivery game. And yeah, that's the thing. Death Stranding 2 is better than the first game, not really by a lot though. It refines and improves what was already there, and what was already pretty great if you ask me. And its biggest boon is making it all more approachable and digestible without losing what it is. If I had to put a number on it, I think it's an impressive 9 out of 10. The game is just uniquely satisfying and entertaining, and even if it isn't completely perfect, I feel like it captures almost every aspect of what it means to be a video game, which is all the more impressive when you consider how much goes into the game's cinematic presentation as well. And I wasn't doing YouTube when the first game came out, so if you were curious, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. In a world split down the middle about Death Stranding, I was always on the side of it being a great game, and I still think it is. It's not gonna be for everyone, I don't think it ever will be, but if you're on the fence, I encourage you to watch someone stream it or something, get an idea of it, and see if it's up your alley. I wouldn't dive into the second game without playing the first though, unless you want to have absolutely zero idea what's going on in the story. But whatever, maybe you don't care about the story, which is fine. I think you can have a lot of fun with this game without knowing the story, because the game itself is actually a game and it's really fun. But whatever, that's all from me, I guess. Thank you guys for watching this video. Give it a like if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more good gaming talk. Hope this was helpful or insightful in some way. And until next time, I am Waifu Blector. I'm just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I'm gonna go play some more Death Stranding 2. Goodbye.